Welcome to Hero Movement. I'm Luke Jones, and today we're going to go through a tutorial for the dragon roll rope flow movement pattern. So I've shared a few rope flow videos over the last year or so and had a few requests to break down some of the more complex movements. So I want to preface this video with the fact that many of these, or most of these, basic rope flow movements have come from the Weck Method. They were innovated by them. Those guys took ideas from the world of jump rope and fused them with their in-depth knowledge of rotational training and kind of athletic training. David Weck and his team, they created this whole movement language around the rope. So definitely check out their videos and resources if you haven't done so already. So in these videos, I'm just going to share how I learned the movement. Some of that has come through the Weck Method, some from other sources, and some just from my own experimentation with the rope as well. I think it's important to kind of point towards your sources. So yeah. So the dragon roll is probably the move you'll learn after practicing the basic underhand and overhand patterns. It can be used actually as a transition move between the two to change direction when you're rope flowing. There's also a movement that perfectly illustrates this idea of using both sides of the body at the same time. In fact, you get an overhand motion with one hand whilst also simultaneously practicing an underhand motion with the other hand. So there's kind of a bit of coordination involved there. The dragon roll also mimics the rotational pattern you'll see through the torso in running and the locomotion patterns, and it also engages the mid-back really nicely, so it really supports that open upright posture because you're getting in hundreds, thousands of reps. And it also just kind of looks quite cool as well. It seems like you're jumping through the rope, but through some voodoo trickery, you're actually just moving the rope around your body. So let's break down the dragon roll. I recommend maybe watching this video all the way through first, then going back through and following along and just pausing whenever you need to. So you can break the dragon roll down into different stages. Makes it a lot easier to learn rather than just trying to wing it off the bat. So as the name suggests, the dragon roll is a combination of dragging the rope across in the horizontal plane and rolling it over your head front to back. So you can start just by practicing both of these movements. So rolling front to back is pretty self-explanatory. So starting with an upright posture, you're going to keep the elbows in close, flip the rope over your head to the ground behind you, and then flip it back over so it's touching the ground in front. That's something you're probably already familiar with. If not, you can practice that. Then to practice the drag at the front of the body, from an upright stance, you're going to hold the rope between your thumb and index fingers, making kind of an OK sign. Then with an upright torso, rotate your torso 45 degrees to the left. So the rope is on the ground and your weight is kind of shifted into your left foot. So your head is over your foot, stacked to the bones like we talked about in other videos. Then you're going to rotate your torso so it points 45 degrees to the right side. So you're dragging the rope along the floor and shifting your weight to your right side. So you just repeat this motion back and forth a few times, just get used to that dragging motion and shifting your weight from side to side. So when this feels comfortable, we're going to move on to the broken dragon roll. Again, we're going to start with the bottom of the rope off at 45 degrees to your left side, your torso rotated towards it, head over foot, weight on your left side. Then going to drag it along the floor to your right side, to the opposite 45 degree angle, and your weight's now primarily on the right foot. Then going to roll the rope over your head, maintaining that orientation of your torso. Then drag the rope along the floor behind you to return to facing your left side 45 degree. Finally, you'll roll the rope back over your head to finish with the rope in front of you, back in that starting position. So I recommend resting, shaking your arms out a little bit, having a little walk, coming back to it and repeating that motion. Take it slow and don't rush through the steps. Spend at least a few minutes practicing this one if you've not practiced it before. So after breaking the drag and roll down into its individual parts, you're then going to look to perform it with a little bit more fluidity. So you're going to stick with one full rotation at a time for now. You're turning 45, dragging, rolling, dragging, and rolling. Take a pause, reset, and then go for one more repetition. So it's one repetition at a time. It might feel almost impossible to get that timing and coordination to start with, but if you persevere one rep at a time, you will get there. So one of the great things about the rope training that I found is that a lot of these movements just seem impossible to start with, but as you persevere, you stick with the process, they start to become second nature. When you get comfortable with one cycle at a time, you can then look to eliminate the pause. So you're going for maybe 2 or 3 cycles this time without stopping. So don't try and just go for a continuous flow. If you notice things start to get a little bit sloppy, then just stop, reset, get back into position, and just go for like a few reps at a time. It's better to do a few good quality reps than it is to drill in the pattern of like 100 sloppy ones. You can practice both sides from the start, but you might find it easier to get proficient on one side and then repeat the same process going from right to left. So break it down, and you'll probably find it easier than learning it the second time around. You still won't get it straight away, but yeah, you might find it easier doing it that way. So when you're learning a rope flow movement, or any movement pattern really, try and focus on making it slow and smooth to start with. Speed and power will naturally then come later, but if you try and force them, then you'll probably get into not ideal habits. So yeah, keep it slow, keep it smooth, take your time. So a few key pointers or things to consider with the drag and roll. Try to keep your elbows in close to your body. It's fine if they go out initially as you kind of get to grips with the movement, but elbows in is typically going to be a stronger position in most athletic situations. As you get a bit more comfortable with the drag and roll, you can play with incorporating wrist movements a little bit more intentionally. So you're going to rotate through pronation, palms down, and supination, palms up at the wrists. So as you drag the rope across from left to right, your right hand pronates as your left hand supinates, and the opposite happens on the backside of the movement. So when you combine this with the torso rotation, it'll give you a lot more control, some fine motor control over the rope. It'll also make it easier to keep your elbows in, and it's a great way to mobilize the wrists. Another thing to consider if you're looking at more of kind of the practical applications of something like the drag and roll is this idea of keeping the knees soft and then being able to explode upwards. So if you keep your knees soft when the rope is in front of you, and then as the rope travels behind you, and as it rises from its lowest point, which might be making contact with the floor, you can straighten through the legs and simultaneously pinch the shoulder blades together. So when you combine this upwards motion and the shoulder blade pinch with the rotation that you've already initiated through the torso and that weight shift from side to side, you get a real feel for the timing and explosiveness you'd generate with like a jump or a sprint. If you like, you can actually use this to explode up into a jump, either straight up or 180 to switch sides. So that kind of concludes our drag and roll breakdown. Hope it was useful. Again, I recommend checking out the Weck Method for their tutorials as well. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll help out where I can, share some thoughts and ideas. Yeah, pretty much it. Have a healthy rope day, and I'll catch you soon.